This is part 4 of public worship, drawing from the great book Introduction to Christian Worship by James F. White. We're using John chapter 4 as our biblical foundation, and we're exploring 12 ideas about worship. Number 10, worship is what we usually mean when we say, I'm going to church. Two Greek words have shaped our concept of going to church. The first word is ekklesia, and it means to be called out or chosen from among a larger group. The idea is that God calls our name and we respond to his call. No one can come to Jesus unless the Father calls out to them. Jesus is picking his team, made up of people from every language, tribe, nation, and ethnicity. Sometimes, but not always, the idea of being called out means leaving behind a sinful past. Some of us start our Christian journey in very dysfunctional, broken, and dark places, and we have to leave all of that behind. Sometimes people are called to leave good things behind, such as careers, homes, or even the country where they grew up. Jesus calls us to leave it all behind and to follow him. The second Greek word is synago, which means to call people together. If ecclesia was the idea of calling people away from something, synago means to call people to something, to call people to come and to be a part of a community together. Hebrews 10:23 through 24 says, let us hold tightly without wavering to the hope we affirm, for God can be trusted to keep his promises. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people are in the habit of doing, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near. In our story from John chapter 4, the woman at the well, we see both the idea of ecclesia and synago. On one hand, this woman will never be the same. She will never look at the world or herself in the same way now that Jesus has called her to the narrow path. She has also been invited to leave a narrow minded thinking of people who judged her. Jesus is calling her to something more significant. He is giving her a new identity. At the same time, she doesn't just run from something, she immediately runs to tell others. She is compelled to go to them and to bring them to the one who has changed her life. Through her, others will become connected to Jesus. Number 11, worship is both public and private. The two go together. Each of us has a unique experience with Jesus, and each of us have unique life experiences. No other human can fully understand where we have been, but God can. Though there be 1,000 people in a worship service, God will tend to each heart as if that person were the only one in attendance that day. Yet God also deals with us as a community. He heals our relationships, prompts reconciliation, and nudges us towards offering forgiveness. He also leads us to open our lives to others in generosity and hospitality. We see these two very clearly in our story. Jesus deals with the woman at the well, treating her as if she were his sole object of affection and attention. He deals with her one-on-one, healing and realigning all the broken pieces. He resets every dislocated part. As a result, this woman is compelled to go to other people in her community. Her encounter with Jesus has some personal and even private elements to it, but the encounter with Jesus cannot stay closed and secret. We were meant to live within the context of community. Christianity is, by its very nature, relational. We distort and even ruin it when we try to keep it to ourselves. Jesus said, no one lights a lamp and puts it in the place where it can be hidden or under a bowl where it'll be snuffed out. Instead, they put it on a stand so that those who come in may see the light. Luke 11:33. Finally, number 12, worship is to be both celebratory and orderly. That may seem like a contradiction. How do we make worship both celebratory and orderly? Let's start with celebratory. In the Old Testament, holidays and cookouts comprise a large part of corporate worship for the Jewish people. God has crammed the Jewish calendar with holidays that include singing, dancing, eating, and celebrating the goodness of God. In Psalm 150, the people are called to use every kind of instrument, singing and shouting to celebrate God. The first miracle of Jesus was turning water into wine at a 7-day wedding party. And the first Christian worship service found in the book of Acts was so loud and ruckus that onlookers thought the whole group was drunk. Sometimes it is fitting to go nuts for Jesus. I am amazed at some of the embarrassing things people will do to celebrate a ball game, yet the same people refuse to even sing on Sunday mornings. At the game, we are willing for people to think that we have left the loony bin. At church, we are downright embarrassed to let someone see a tear on our cheek or any sign of enthusiasm for God. King David danced before the Lord, saying, I am willing to become even more undignified than this for God. That said, wild hair celebration is not always the order of the day. There are times when worship needs to be more solemn, orderly, and reflective. Sometimes we need the help of rites, ceremonies, rituals, and traditions. These four are no more than showing good manners in the presence of God. We need both celebratory worship and orderly worship, just like a family needs both. Sometimes the family eats pizza off of paper plates as they gather in the living room to watch a movie. But there are other times when the family sets out the good china and silverware for a 5-course meal. There's a time and a place for both, and any wise family will make a place for both. Sometimes you just need a good old fashioned service of song and testimony. There are other times when the moment is so sacred that each step must be planned in advance. The needs of the human soul and of the community of faith make it important to recognize that every worship service is going to be a little different, and every service is going to call for a little bit of a different approach.